Anya yanked her hand away and clenched it into a fist. Dennis's sharp, piercing gaze assessed her, scanning her from head to toe and then settling on her face. So Anya was married, and she looked perfectly happy. Or rather, she looked happy until Dennis showed up. Anya, do you love him, this person you're living with? I do, she replied. Dennis smiled bitterly and shook his head. He felt a surge of powerful emotions and a sharp jab in his ribs, for which he was almost grateful. He still had a heart, he still had one, and it was still capable of feeling. And today I'm getting engaged, Dennis said grimly, furrowing his brow. Anya's eyes flitted around and she took a slight step back. I wish you happiness. Come on, Anya, spare me. I've only been truly happy once in my life. When I kissed the girl I loved on the rooftop of her house, and for a short period of time after, when I considered her mine. But then I died, Anya. I died, and my body continued to walk on this earth. Dennis remembered the face of a miserable patient and grabbed his forehead, restraining his internal turmoil. Anya stood there right beside him, so close. If only she would reach out her hand. And judging by her heavy, uneven breathing, she was feeling just as troubled as Dennis himself. 10 years had passed since their last encounter. Both had changed, matured, but one thing remained unchanged. The strange pull towards Anya, which ignited with renewed strength the moment their gazes intersected. Dennis's phone shattered the deathly silence. He blindly silenced the call, not feeling an ounce of regret. Instead of celebrating with the newly extended family, marking the future reunion of two families, Dennis loitered near Anya's entrance, unable to find the strength to leave. She remained silent, occasionally glancing at the windows. Dennis's intense gaze held her, making her blush. It's time for you to go, Anya weakly smiled and retreated towards the entrance. I don't want you to have any problems because of me again. If there was even a tiny chance. Dennis trailed off, not hesitating. Anya, I would leave everything in an instant. If anything changes in your life, let me know, okay? Who do you take me for? I'm not going to meddle in someone else's relationship. You're the man. You have to decide. She disappeared into the entrance before Dennis could digest her words. He sat in his car and slammed his hand against the steering wheel. What could he decide? What? When she admitted that she loved someone else. Sonia had left 5 missed calls and 1 message with worried emojis. Dennis, where are you? Everyone's waiting for you. To reach the neighboring courtyard, Dennis took a long detour, trying to calm the uncontrollable emotions that overwhelmed him with just one innocent look at Anya in the cafe. You're the man. You have to decide, he gritted his teeth, climbing up to the correct floor. Dennis quickly ascended the steps, entered the apartment, and tossed the car keys onto the shelf. And here comes the groom, Elena Viktorovna exclaimed. The table buzzed with liveliness. Sonia's parents straightened their backs, and Sonia herself hid her bored face, smiled, and took a sip of champagne. Dennis greeted dryly, and in the next second he snatched the glass from the bride's hand and poured the contents down the sink. Silence reigned in the kitchen. This is my final warning, Dennis said curtly. If I see it again, take care of yourself. Sonia's cheeks blazed with shame. He had made a not-so-subtle reference to her destructive addiction, much to the dismay of her parents. He then left the kitchen, closing himself in his room. Elena Viktorovna followed him into the room, her eyes wide with shock. My son, what are you doing? The poor girl waited for you, trying to save face in front of her parents. And you humiliated her in front of everyone. If she deserved it, then she deserved it, Dennis replied, taking off his shirt. Could you please leave? I need to change. Elena Viktorovna didn't rush to fulfill her son's request. She approached him and looked him straight in the eyes. Son, you have changed so much. You've become so rude, impulsive, simply unbearable. Where is that boy, the affectionate and cheerful one? Where is he? Where does all this hatred and anger in you come from? Mom, just leave me alone. Dennis turned towards the table and leaned on it, resting his hands on its surface. Everything is clear now. You saw her, right? Decided to go back to your old ways again? Yes, I saw her. Anya has a husband, she loves him, and she's perfectly happy. You don't have to worry. He looked at his mother with narrowed eyes. What more do you want from me, Mom? You wanted me to become a surgeon? I did. Wanted me to marry Sonia? There you go. Wanted me to leave Anya alone? I did. But you can't make me stop loving her. What kind of love is this? Wake up, son. She told you straight up that she loves her husband, and I warned her back then. She'll find someone else, someone who is a better match for her. And now you see it was as clear as daylight. Your Anya hasn't wasted her time with other men. Did you talk to Anya? Dennis straightened up abruptly and stepped towards his mother. Elena Viktorovna hesitated, becoming flustered. When? You saw her with someone else. And she confessed to me that she got back with her ex. Who else did you promise her? Or was there no one else? This ex of hers? Maybe there wasn't. What difference does it make now? So many years have passed. Elena Viktorovna glanced tensely at Denis's bare torso. Get dressed. Your bride is waiting for you. All right. Was there or wasn't there? He persisted, raising his voice at his mother. How should I know? I didn't keep track of her. Denis curled his lip in disdain, looking at his own mother as if she were an enemy. You deceived me, Mum. I was one step away from going back to her. And you just went and destroyed my life. I did what I thought was best, and so what? Are you unhappy now? Living it up like a king? You have everything? You should be grateful that I saved you from that promiscuous girl. Thank you. Denis squeezed out through gritted teeth and swung the door open in front of his mother. We have nothing more to talk about. Give it up, will you? The guests are waiting. Entertain your guests yourself. Elena Viktorovna pressed her lips together in offense and left her son's room. The door slammed shut with a loud noise. Denis couldn't find his place. He paced back and forth in the room, trying to calm down and come to terms with what had happened. He slumped onto the bed, running his fingers through his hair, and replayed Anya's last words in his mind. You're the man. You have to decide. Yes, he was a man who had loved once and for a lifetime, hopelessly and unrequitedly. What could he decide in this situation? The door to the room cracked open. First, Sonia's head appeared. Then she entered fully and cautiously sat down next to Denis. Sonia sighed and even let out a plaintive whimper, trying to draw his attention to herself. Don't worry. I told my parents that you have a stressful job, that you're tired, and everything is fine between us. We hardly ever fight. Sonia climbed onto the bed with her legs and rested her palms on Denis's slumped shoulders. Don't touch me, he muttered in a threatening tone. Sonia burst into even louder sobs. I'm telling you the truth, Denis, I swear. I won't drink anymore. You're the man. You have to decide. Denis raised his head sharply. He had asked Anya for a chance, a tiny chance to fix the mistakes of his youth. And her words, that was the hope he had been waiting for. He just needed to gather the courage and act, regardless of anything else. Denis straightened up and glanced at Sonia. Now or never. This would be his first step. Sonia, I don't love you, and I never did. You know that perfectly well. I'm sorry, but there won't be a wedding.